Hi, my name is Rebecca Brown, and I'm a student at the University of Louisville in the Organizational Leadership and Learning Bachelor of Science program. This workforce training and development video is a requirement for my ELFH 316 Instructional Strategies and Group Facilitation Techniques course. The class is facilitated by Dr. Terry Rowland. I work as a victim advocate in the Jefferson County Attorney's Office in the DUI division. This workforce training and development exercise, building trust with the victims of DUI collisions, explaining your role, and guiding the victim through the district court process could be used for newly employed advocates and or other staff who would like to enhance their knowledge, skills, and abilities in working with victims of crime. The mission and purpose of this exercise is to help, in the next slide, is to help to establish trust with victims with compassion and respect, informing them of the criminal justice process, and to provide resources necessary to gain some of the control they lost when they were victimized. You are the first point of contact. It is very important to call your victims out of the courtroom promptly after the judge has called rights in the courtroom, and you want to talk to them privately. Introduce yourself as the advocate for them, not for the defendant. Sometimes they are confused as to why they are even there. You want to explain your role in the legal process. You are gathering information about the collision that the defendant caused. You are not an attorney, but a liaison between them, the victim, and the prosecutor. You are there for them through any other court proceedings, such as a trial or other hearings, and that you are their main point of contact. You'll give them your business card, and usually what I do is I put the case number on the business card, and I tell them to put this in a safe place in their wallet or not in all of their paperwork because it may get lost. They will need this if they receive another subpoena in the mail or to call you with any updates to the case. You want to inform the victim. You want to make sure that you tell them and explain to them what's going to happen today. This is a pre-trial conference. We are gathering information about the collision that the defendant caused, and we want to know about any injuries or insurance information. And we'll ask them to briefly write a statement about the incident. And we'll also want them to make any statements, any important information that they want the prosecutor to know. And you also let the prosecutor know that they are present and he or she may have some other questions for them. And you'll refer them for any legal advice or legalities of the case. You'll refer them to the prosecutor. Make sure that you tell them that you are not an attorney. And they will not have to go back in the courtroom today. Most people think that they have to go in front of a judge, but they do not. They are more than welcome to go into the courtroom, but it's not necessary today for the pre-trial conference. You'll want to listen to their story. Listen to their story with empathy, compassion, and ask questions without interrupting them. Just listen. It's very important for their voice to be heard, and it's important for their healing process. You want to record in writing anything about their injuries or injuries to the passengers. What is their current state, physical state? Are they still seeing any doctors? Sometimes these accidents can happen, and then 2 months later they're called into court. So we want to make sure that we find out what their physical injuries still are. We'll want to find out about their damages to the vehicle, the physical damage and the monetary damage for restitution information, and we want to find out about insurance. Did the defendant have insurance, and has that insurance paid you for those damages? We'll want to explain the court process and the procedures. Again, this is a pretrial conference. This is usually the first appearance of the victim, and we're gathering information. You'll want to explain the lengthy court continuances and the frustration that it may cause. DUI cases can take 1 or 2 years to resolve. You'll explain the guilty plea and the sentencing. Sometimes with a DUI first, second, or third, there are different consequences. So you'll explain those. You'll explain trial situations. If the case goes to a trial, the prosecutor will notify them and prepare them for trial. And that you will be there for them emotionally and to support them in the courtroom if they choose. And you'll want to talk about restitution to the victim, and that the victim will be notified when restitution is ordered. Offering other resources that are available is also very important. MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, is a very good source for civil attorney referrals, counseling, and support groups. People who have been in accidents, collisions with DUI drivers, that can be a huge support for them. Crisis counseling agencies such as 7 counties can help with PTSD. There are a lot of times victims come in and they're afraid to get back in the car again, or their children may be afraid to get into the car. So 7 counties can help with that type of trauma. The Kentucky Attorney General's Victim Advocacy Office can help with compensation on medical bills. Sometimes when the insurance runs out and there's no other means to pay the medical bills, they may be able to help. Have brochures and other contact information available in advance to give to these victims. It's very important to follow up. You want to follow up with certain information. If an estimate of the damage is needed, follow up with that. Follow up with serious injuries. How are they doing physically now? Follow up with the prosecutor. You want to make sure that the prosecutor knows about their injuries and knows that they're still suffering. Important updates or setbacks to the case. You want to make sure that they are notified with that, with guilty pleas, sentencing, and restitution, and follow through. Do what you say you're going to do. Building trust with victims. Victims come to court with a wide range of emotions. We want to build that trust from the very beginning, from the first moment that we see them in the courtroom, and so with that we can relieve that frustration and that anger, and that is our job as a victim advocate, is to help them through that process, explaining the court process and making sure that their voice is heard. And sensitivity issues with victimization. Follow up, do what you say you're going to do. And then that is in the end of my presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Have you ever had a victim come into the court system that was so angry that you couldn't talk to them? Do they get irate, angry, hostile with you?
They do. They do. But once I am able to sit them down and explain why they are there, usually they're angry because they have to come to court. They're victimized when they're in the collision with a DUI driver. They're angry. Now they're angry. They have to come to court. So once I sit them down privately and I let them know in a soft voice why they are there. We want to know about we want to know what happened to you. What are your injuries? What are your damages? And so once they realize that they are there and that we are helping them, then they usually calm down after that.
I had another question.
Yes.
Do the defendant and the victim sometimes see each other, and does that ever cause an issue between?
When they are subpoenaed to court, they usually are in the courtroom in the morning time. The judge gives rights to the defendants in court, and then they will also give instructions for the victims. Usually I try to get in court in the very early morning, right after the judge gives those rights. to bring the victim out of the courtroom and into a private area so that I can talk to them. So if they do see the defendant, it'll only be for a brief period of time. Anyone else? Okay. And then if you could please fill out the workshop evaluation form that is in your booklet and turn those in before you leave, I would really appreciate that. And I appreciate your time on this. And if you have any other questions, or if you think of anything later, please feel free to contact me. I've given you my information, and it's also in your booklets. So please feel free to ask me anything. And if I have not come across it in the time that I've spent here as a victim advocate, then we can work it out together, and I'm sure of that. So thank you so much, and thank you for your time.